For almost 4 years now, KOMO and Food Lifeline have teamed up to help feed our community. And joining me now is the new president and CEO of Food Lifeline, Stephen Davis. Stephen, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
Oh, happy to have you.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Washington State.
Thrilled to be back. Thank you so much.
Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I was born and raised here, grew up in Washington State, went to Washington State University for my undergraduate degree, so Washingtonian through and through. But I've been away for quite a while. Professionally, I ended up living kind of all over the West Coast and then ended up out in Kansas City for quite a while. And just recently came back.
And you were most recently the president CEO of a food organization out there.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, so I was the president and CEO of a Feeding America food bank called Harvesters out in Kansas City, a sister food bank of Food Lifeline here in Seattle. And it was a great experience, wonderful food banks, very similar food bank as far as the kind of programs we do, how we go about thinking about our work and how we really see the long-term solutions to the work we do. So a lot of synergy between the two food banks and the work we do. There, of course, in Kansas City, we serve 2 states. We serve both Kansas and Missouri across the state line, but a lot of similarities between the food banks.
Yeah, any unique challenges that you faced there?
You know, I think the unique thing there is really not overly different than here. We had highly urban parts of our service area, and then we had a highly rural farming community as part of our service area, which we have here too, with Food Lifeline serving all of Western Washington, 17 counties. We have very similar dynamics about thinking through the complexity of how we do our work in such a wide variety of communities.
Were there things that worked there that maybe are not happening here that you can see implementing to better serve our communities?
You know, I think what I have seen so far, I've been back at Food Lifeline, or been at Food Lifeline for a month, is just a really great dedicated staff, wonderful network of nonprofits that work in collaboration with us that really get up every morning and want to make sure that their community members are cared for. And that's where it all starts. The specific programs you do and the specific ways you go about doing the work has to be unique to the community and resonate with the community members where you're at. So there's always going to be some unique things that go on, but what I've seen so far is a real dedication to work in collaboration with the community members.
Yeah, you're really just fresh on the job. I mean,
yes,
just about a month.
That's right.
So
that's right.
You're still getting the lay of the land of
that's
everything.
Right.
You also have a history in food service in schools. Tell me a little bit about that experience. I know that, you know, universal school meals not here in Washington yet, although there has been a push from different areas of our legislature to do that.
You know, as I mentioned early on in my career, I for about 20 years of my career, I worked in K-12. About half of that time was running child nutrition programs all across the West Coast in a variety of school districts. And that program is so critical. I was fortunate to work in many communities that had a lot of participation in the school food service program. Collaboration with the community to design programs that really met the needs of families and students, that had culturally familiar, culturally relevant foods that were highly nutritious. And that is so pivotal. Like, how do you go to school and be ready to learn if you don't have food? Which is also the work we do as a food bank. But those child nutrition programs and the amazing staff that work in those school programs are just pivotal. So anything we can do to reduce barriers and make it easy for students and families to participate in those programs is critical.
As we go into the holiday season, what is the need that you're seeing right now?
Yeah, I think what I want to make sure that people know and understand, I think what is so top of mind is the shutdown that just occurred. And we certainly could talk about that and the incredible need we saw over the last 2 months. I think what is getting a little bit lost in that story is prior to that, so before the shutdown occurred, we were seeing levels of food insecurity, meaning individuals that didn't have food or weren't sure if they were going to have food later this week, at levels we have not seen in more than a decade. That was what we were facing as the charitable food system. The number of people that were coming to pantries, kitchen, mobiles to receive assistance from the charitable food system was really at almost a breaking point as far as how many families are being served. In our network, we saw a 60% increase in the families from year over year that were coming to the network. And again, this was before the shutdown. And so I think it's important to know that it was really, really high. The shutdown magnified that, and many organizations were serving twice the number of families and individuals during the shutdown, just due to the dynamics of the shutdown. So now that the shutdown has ended, we're still going back to where it was prior to that, which was a really challenging number of individuals that were just, struggling to make ends meet.
Why has the need increased so much? I think that's the question everybody wants the answer to, is why the increase?
I think what we know about food insecurity is that most individuals that are food insecure are working, or they're living on a fixed income, so our seniors that are living on maybe Social Security or the retirement funds. And we all see what's happening to costs, whether it's housing, which of course, we live in one of the most expensive housing places in the country, whether it's the cost of food, cost of fuel, and dollars just don't go as far. And so often when you're in that situation, where you can expand and contract your budget is what you set aside for food. And you want to keep a roof over your head. You need to keep your car running so that you can get to work. And so when your car breaks, you're faced with that difficult decision of, I don't have any extra funds, but do I fix my car, or do I buy the food that I needed this week? And that's the reality of the families that we're working with, the individuals we're working with, is they're just stretched to the point where they have to make these gut-wrenching, unimaginable for many of us, decisions of what do they do. And often they'll cut their food budget to get by, and so then they may need support for a brief period of time to help make ends meet.
What do we do as a community to make sure these families get the food they need? And looking farther down the line too, we know that with the big beautiful bill that was passed this last summer, more people are going to lose their SNAP benefits in the years to come.
That's exactly right, and that's an important point. I think to answer the first part of your question, my vision, my drive every day when I get up is that to live in a healthy, thriving, vibrant community, which who doesn't want that? Everybody wants to live, work, play, raise a family in a healthy, thriving, vibrant community. We just can't have that where food insecurity exists. And so, we have a table, if you will, where we invite people to the table to lock arms with us and say, I care about my neighbors, which, by the way, when I talk about neighbors, these are your coworkers. These are the individual you might see throughout the course of your normal day. This could be your grandma, grandpa, mom and dad, aunt, uncle, cousins, brothers, sisters. These are family members of ours that are facing these really difficult decisions of what do they do. Here, just in our 17 counties, 1 in 8 individuals is food insecure. So when you think about that math, 1 in 8, we are interacting on a regular basis with people throughout the day that are food insecure. So we just ask the community to lock arms with us and say, we gotcha. We want to care for our neighbors. We want to care for our community members. We want to make sure seniors can live independently in a healthy way for as long as they possibly can. And having the food you need is so pivotal to all those things. So you can lock arms with us, with our partner of over 300 other food banks, kitchens, pantries that serve their local neighborhoods and communities, and get involved in what we do. And for us, you can donate food. We need food. We're a regional hunger relief organization collecting and distributing food. And so we do that on mass quantities, semi-truckloads of food, to little bags of food, right, that we receive and we distribute. You can donate financially. Right now, that's really pivotal. You can donate time. Come down to Food Lifeline and you can volunteer with us. Or if this matters to you and you want to make sure that this doesn't exist, you can raise your voice and advocate. To the second part of your question, we know with HB 1, or the Big Beautiful Bill, that there will be changes that were put into law for SNAP. And we know that pretty immediately, about 130,000 Washingtonians will lose their ability to qualify for SNAP due to those changes. And then over the long run, that will continue to get worse. I would go back to the shutdown. So during the shutdown, we had about 75,000 federal workers that were furloughed, and we saw what we had to do. We saw it on the news, how many people were coming for food assistance. Now, almost double that, and that's how many individuals that were receiving SNAP that all of a sudden aren't.
So how do you plan for that too? I mean, and that is you've got some time.
That's right. Well, I think one of the things is getting this message out and inviting people to the table to prepare to help the charitable food system, which is the area that I work in and lead, be ready to meet the needs of our neighbors. Ultimately, it's going to take intervention from the charitable food system like Food Lifeline. It's going to take intervention from corporate America, helping to support us in the work we do. It's going to take intervention at the federal level through lawmakers, state and local level. There's no one magic solution to this. It's going to take a variety of different approaches to really make sure our neighbors are cared for and that we don't create this incredibly difficult environment for so many individuals.
And to be able to do that, you certainly need a strong organization like Food Lifeline. I know that you're working on a 4-year strategic plan. What does that look like in your, barely month on the job? Have you found any areas that maybe need a little strengthening? Huge amount of credit to the Food Lifeline staff, to the work that was done. Our strategic plan at Food Lifeline, which I was able to inherit as I stepped into this role, was done with so much care and discipline around how it was developed. Community voices, community organizations, a lot of collecting feedback to make sure that the work we were doing was with our communities and not just, oh, here's what we're going to do in your community. And so there was a huge amount of gathering that feedback. Our focus as a regional food bank, if you will, like the food bank to the food banks and pantries and kitchens, is probably not surprising in that we want to make sure we have a robust network. So we're focused on working with, in collaboration, providing training for our 300 plus partners that are part of our network, and resourcing where we can resource to make sure that they are equipped to serve their communities. We're focused on making sure we have equitable access to food, and so looking at where there are needs of food, where there's higher levels of food insecurity, and do we have the right solutions in place all across our 17 counties and all those communities. We are looking at the kinds of food we receive, how we talk about the food that we need so that we can distribute. Is it culturally relevant and culturally familiar? Is it nutritious? Does it meet the desirability of families that are food insecure, which, by the way, over half of what we distribute is produce, which a lot of people don't know. And then we're focused on just being a strong organization and being an organization that the community can trust and know that we're good stewards of the resources that we receive. And then also, finally, making sure we continue to focus on advocacy, because it will take federal intervention, state intervention, local intervention, and just want to make sure that our lawmakers know what it looks like on the ground, what it looks like in our community, so they can make the best informed decisions that they can. Well, welcome back to Washington
Thank
State.
you.
We're so happy to have you here leading Food Lifeline. Any additional messages to our community?
I would just say 2 quick things. It is a pivotal time for us as the charitable food system, and so we are asking you to join with us, alongside of us, to make sure that we can all look each other in the eye and say we're caring for our community members and our neighbors, and we really do want to make sure we have these great communities. Open invitation. You can join forces with us by donating food, because we definitely need as much food as we can receive so we can distribute. We distributed 73 million pounds of food last year, and that's not enough. And so we welcome more so we can care for more individuals. Financial donations go a long way. We can really mobilize and really multiply the value of those financial donations. So you can go to our website and do that. You can do food drives at your workplace, school, wherever, and donate that. You can volunteer with us. So we have volunteer shifts. You can go online, sign up for your family, your school, your workplace to come down and help sort and pack food. And if this matters to you, you can always be plugged into the kinds of things we're advocating for, and then make sure that your thoughts are known to your elected officials.
You mentioned the food drive, and I think that's one more point we can mention too, is you can do your own food drive in your community, and all that food can go to Food Lifeline or your local food bank.
So powerful. I've seen so many, just one person, sometimes children, that raised their hand and said, I'm going to organize a food drive just in my neighborhood. And It's so amazing to see what a neighborhood does, a group of houses that have got together to sort and pack food and then donate it to Food Lifeline so that we can care for the community.
Yeah, we look forward to feeding the community with you again this year.
Thank
Stephen,
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.